A pinch of salt. Centuries ago, a deal the smiths of the Marches had made with the forge mistress turned sour. The Eternal had agreed to help the Marches construct a rune forge in Mittwold, in return for the services of the smiths until the work was complete. A troll curse meant that the forge could not be finished, leaving the smiths trapped in the Woldstone, a powerful regio at the heart of Mittwold. Thanks to the painstaking work of Gemma Brightsmith and countless others, the smiths were finally freed in summer 386 YE. The smiths have somehow survived the hundreds of years spent labouring in an autumn regio, but they were not in a good way. Physically they're fine, fit and healthy and apparently not a day older than the moment they left, but they were confused, with only the vaguest memories of their time in the Marches. All that they could remember was their craft. They were taken in by the monks at Oakwood. They needed some convalescence and people to talk to help them restore their connection to the Marches. A mandate enacted by Alice Thorne encouraged Marcher artisans to travel to the monastery to help the Marchers recover and rediscover the lost art of the smiths. Now it seems that loyalty has paid off. The smiths have been eager to share their skills with their fellow Marchers, and it seems they have one more thing to share. An old legacy. The smiths have asked the Marchers to raise a smith's workshop at the Woldstone or at the Maidenstone. The title holder would gain an income of 1 throne each season. If the title holder was a smith, then they would gain a pauper's key in spring and the ability to create a Marcher-only plenipotentiary in autumn. The smiths who have been released from the autumn realm have no intention of coming to Anvil. They are bewildered by the many changes that have taken place since their day, and are content to remain in the Marches. They are eager to share their art with other Marches, however, and have cheerfully offered what training and instruction they can to any who seemed interested. It remains to be seen how many people will take up the role that is now available. While many had assumed that they were artisans or skilled crafters, the smiths are clear that in their mind the lost art of the Marches, the practice of smithing, is the idea of forging bargains and making enduring deals. They are practical people who emphasize finding the simplest way to use magic to achieve something. Their experience as negotiators and willingness to compromise once made them a vital part of Marcher society. Though they have zero interest in Anvil politics, the smiths are keen to see their art restored to its proper role at the heart of Marcher society. The monks of Oakwood are convinced that would help their recovery and have been giving what advice and help they can. One of the friars associated with the monastery has spoken with the civil service and has asked them to present a proposal that they believe would benefit the returned smiths and the nation. The crux of this proposal is to build the Stone Smith's Workshop, either at the Woldstone at Ashbrook in Upwold, or the Maidenstone on the Maiden Downs in Mittwold. The workshop would act as a repository of lore for the smiths and a place for them to congregate and discuss matters. The proposed workshop is expensive and needs Ilium to complete the construction, in part to create some of the unusual tools and equipment the smiths propose to create. Once built, it would serve as a place for new smiths to be trained, as well as a place for them to gather and discuss their business. The workshop would provide a respectable income for whatever citizen was appointed to the title, with funds drawn from the payments made by local Marchers grateful for the services the workshop would provide. However, if the title holder was publicly committed to the role of smith in the Marches, out of character note, had the smith archetype when they were appointed, then the smiths of Upwold and Mittwold have pledged to provide them with a pauper's key each spring. This would help the title holder move freely between Anvil and the Hall of Worlds, making it easier for them to negotiate with heralds and Eternals and to discuss matters with the magicians in the hall. In addition, one of the smiths, a mature woman called Rena Whitesmith, has offered to share one of the smith's oldest secrets with any smith who holds the title. Rena claims that before there was an empire, the Marcher smiths made a deal with an autumn herald called the Gull. Once a year, each autumn in fact, the Gull would come and collect a specially prepared piece of vellum from the smiths and take it to a single named Eternal. According to Rena, the reputation of the smiths as practical negotiators was good enough that most Eternals would agree to a carefully worded invitation to meet and discuss a proposal. The law of hospitality was good enough to keep negotiators safe, although it was still wise to take care with some of the more physically violent Eternals. The arrangements that Rena describes sound quite similar to plenipotentiary. The Archmages are usually viewed by the Eternals as having dominion over their realm in the Empire. If such means once existed in other nations, they were probably codified and centralized when Conclave was formed. But this agreement that the Smiths have with the Gull predates the formation of the Empire, and while the arrangements are old, incredibly old, the bargain still holds. Rena laughs at the suggestion that time might have eroded the foundations of the deal. If that were true, she might have returned home countless years ago. The power can only be used at autumn, but if the Stonesmith's workshop is built before the start of the Autumn Summit, the title could be elected, and the title holder could make use of the power at that event, if they were a smith. There is one small complication. Some of the smiths who were released were once from Upwold, the others from Mittwold. There is an enduring rivalry between the two groups, and neither of them can agree where the workshop should be built. There is little to choose from between either location. Both the Waldstone and the Maidenstone echo with magic, and would make ideal sites for the workshop. Whichever site is chosen won't change the outcome, it will simply rankle with whichever group of smiths loses out. Of course, it would be possible to build a workshop at both locations, but that would be quite expensive in terms of both materials and commissions. Also, given there is only one Porpoise key available, and the Herald Gull will only answer to one title holder, it's probably better to pick one location or the other. One potential way to choose might be to pick the territory that has the most new smiths interested in coming to Anvil.